is to show my people believe our hopes are to needless reason. Nobody feel left out is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah. No respect on selfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes to be obey. And all the things that must be happen and not got blue skies. And nothing that people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place your calling. Get up, make every day count. Don't waste it, people. Do your part, play your role, get where you need to. You can tune in for work or in your vehicle. If you got a problem, pick up the phone. Why wait till the time calling is the show with no matter even if you're at home. Just call in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place your calling. Be yourself, see yourself, this is to show my people believe our hopes are to needless reason. Nobody feel left out is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah. No respect on selfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes to be obey. And all the things that must happen and not got blue skies. And nothing that people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place your calling. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize.
Wake up, Belize. Morning vibes. It's a Thursday morning, the 14th day of April 2026. I'm Nuri Muhammad, and we welcome you to the program this morning. You know that we have certain steps we go through. We try to bring you up to date on the weather, which is very hot in Belize these days. This is the May month. Imagine, this is already the middle of May, so it seems like time is moving fast, but it's the same 24-hour day. But we welcome you. We go through looking at the weather, and then we bring you up to date with our latest from our news center. So let's go now to Mr. Derek Rodon for this morning's forecast.
Good morning. Warm and mostly dry weather will continue today. The 24-hour forecast is for mostly sunny and warm conditions today, but hot inland this afternoon and partly cloudy tonight. Little or no rain is expected. Winds over the open sea will be from the southeast at 5 to 15 knots, and the seas will be slight to light chop. High temperatures today will be around 90 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 98 inland, but only 85 degrees up in the mountains. A heat alert is in effect, and residents, especially those inland, are advised to stay hydrated and avoid outdoor activity, especially during the afternoon hours. The outlook for Friday is for continuing mainly fair and warm weather, then light isolated showers are possible Friday night. There is a high tide at 7:25 this morning, and a low follows at 2:36 this afternoon. Another high is at 8:55 tonight, and another low at 2:08 tomorrow morning. The sun rose at 5:20 this morning and will set at 6:17 this evening. The moon sets at 4:15 this evening and comes up again at 4:02 tomorrow morning. In the fire risk forecast, the risk for forest and brush fires will be high today. In the sarcasm update, There is the possibility that a few more sargasso mats could drift ashore during the coming days, moderately impacting beaches across the country. With that, we end this report from the Belize Weather Bureau.
The first private radio in Belize since 1989, Creme FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports. And now, the news.
The Department of Environment and the Mining Unit have conducted a preliminary assessment of the dredging reported on Tuesday near the Placencia Lagoon and determined that the contractor, Albert Lewin, violated terms of the mining permit. The works to extract 4,500 cubic yards of dredge material were for Seaboard Holdings, whose director is named as Mark Anthony Espat, to reclaim eroded beach along 3 parcels of land. We spoke to the Chief Environmental Officer, Anthony Mai.
The investigation revealed that the contractor apparently, with the desire to obtain this 4,500 cubic yards of material, decided to extract it in an unconventional way, if I could use those words. So really and truly what the contractor should have done was get a barge, put an excavator on the barge, and then dredge the material and then take it out to land, put it in a dewatering site, allow it to dry for a period of time before it is used to fill the seaside component of this development and also a portion of the property. What the developer did, he explained, was that because the sand was not readily available in the nearshore area, the method of extracting the 4,500 cubic yards of material involved the removal of the material. So it began to pile up the material going into the lagoon. And the intention was always, according to him, was for the structure that was being built to be removed, because the structure that was being built was the same sand that he would have removed to obtain the 4,500 cubic yards of material. And so that's what we understand is the reason as to why the structure was being built. But for us, one of the concerns is the fact that like silt curtains, sedimentation, containment structures were not in place during that operation. So the area where they were extracting material was the area where that the permits and clearances were granted for. But the idea would have been that a borrow site would have been created. So a borrow site is, you look at the Placencia Lagoon floor, and then extracting the material that you need from a 200 feet by 100 feet by 6 feet deep borrow site. So it's a hole in the lagoon floor. And so any modification to that would have had to be obtained from the mining unit if that the borrow site and its dimension and the extraction method would have changed. The approval should have been sought from the mining unit.
Do you, first of all, deem that what was done then was illegal?
So we're still making a determination. I could tell you that the fact that silt curtains were not used violates the conditions of the environmental clearance letter. And so the extraction method, the way how the material was removed, is something that we're still discussing with the mining unit to see how we deal with that particular issue.
What happens next, and who all are to blame for the damage?
If it's the second time, you definitely call him a repeat offender, but my understanding is that he may be a serial offender, and the public is calling for some serious sanctions in a case like this. Do you continue to allow a contractor like that, to continue dredging?
Yeah, so that's a difficult question for me to answer now. So I would need to get legal advice on that. I don't know if our legislation gives us the authority to determine who is granted permits for or allowed to do dredging and who does not. That might fall outside the purview of the environmental laws. And we need to be very careful, because if we make decisions outside of what the law gives us in terms of the shield, then we ourselves put ourselves up for litigation. And so we could be charged for making decisions outside of the scope of our laws, right? So that, I think, would require some level of discussion with our legal counsel to determine how we could look into this. But again, I'm only speaking for the Department of Environment. I won't speak for the mining unit on that matter.
What about the actual developer? Because my understanding is that the permits are given to the contractor or the developer, correct?
So the permits are granted to at least for the environmental clearance, the clearance was granted to the developer, and then the developer hires the contractor, and the process is such that the developer should give the contractor a copy of the clearance so the contractor knows what to abide by, the conditions of the clearance. And so in this case, we have had discussions with the developer, and according to them, they were not aware of what the contractor was doing. And so we've had preliminary discussion with the contractor. We plan to bring the contractor in to have a more formal conversation on exactly what happened and why he decided to use the method that he used, rather than another method in terms of the borrow site. So for now, the structure they have stopped the operation since yesterday. When this matter came to our attention, the mining unit had issued I believe, had asked them to stop the operations, and we will issue an enforcement notice recording and documenting that they are to stop and remove the structure in any case. So yeah, so we still have to have some more concrete conversation with the contractor.
Does damage assessment happen, and will anyone be required to pay for any damage?
So that's something we still need to discuss internally in terms of how to move forward. Like I said, in terms of damage, it's difficult for us to charge for damage if we can't estimate the impacts, if we don't know the impacts in terms of real impacts, and estimate what the value of those impacts are. So like I said, it's not impossible, it's just that's a long drawn out process in terms of studies that need to be done to substantially say this is the amount of damage that you created and this is the value of those damage. That's not an overnight thing to do.
The government of Belize is conducting public consultation as it moves towards introducing a national identification card. The national ID will carry a unique identification number and biometric data. It would allow Belizeans access to public services, social programs, and financial systems through a single secure credential. We asked the CEO in the Ministry of E-Government, Jose Urbina, if it will be mandatory to obtain the national ID.
What if someone doesn't want to get a national ID? Will there be penalties for that?
There will not be penalties for it, but I strongly think that there will be institutions that will require the national ID to process services. And if you don't have a national ID, then the question would be whether or not you will be able to access those services. So these are the questions that we want as feedback from the public consultation. Of course, the national ID is not being drafted in a way, or the legislation is not being drafted in a way to exclude citizens from services. But it can very well be that the private sector said, you know what, if you don't have a national ID, or you need a national ID to process a loan. Right? But we're hopeful that the general public understands. The factual information is that our data is already shared within the public service. It's already shared within different private institutions. The national ID allows us to protect that information and ensure that your data is not replicated all over. For example, let me use an example. I think for apply for some utility services, you need to give a copy of your loan certificate.
But that's not an actual requirement that compulsory. It's alongside other things. If you have that, you can provide it, but it's not mandatory.
So, but it is not mandatory for you to provide your SSB card either, right? But that is the requirement that entities ask for. And if you don't comply, then then they can come back and say, well, you know what, you don't qualify for the services. But the point I'm trying to make is, why do we need to even give a copy of Social Security card, or a copy of my passport bio page, or a copy of my driver's license, when that information already exists digitally? And with a national ID, those entities would be able to access it if you allow them to access. Because the way the app should work, or we are envisioning it to work, is that when that exchange of information occurs, you will get a push notification on the wallet to say yes or no, and to select what data will be shared with that specific entity. So the user will be in full control of what information is being shared.
To the government officials, the main purpose of the national ID is to allow validation or confirmation of user processing online services. Urbina shared an example of where a passport or a social security card is not suitable for such verification.
Let's use the banking sector, right? The banking sector is already processing online bank loan applications. They have no way to knowing it is you making that application unless you upload a copy or a picture of your or a selfie of yourself with the social security card to be able to do a picture verification of who's applying and who is the ID is for. The banking process also have a know your citizen or know your KYC, know your client form. The national ID is precisely for that. The national ID is used when you submit an online online application. The verification is done via the QR code on the national ID card. And that verification will be a valid verification. Just this morning, I think in Love FM, they were discussing about whether the license card should have your blood type, right? Because in cases of an accident, you can't really say, well, I'm type A plus positive or whatever. That is why we really need a national ID. The national ID links your personal data across all databases. The discussion was, well, maybe the Ministry of Transport now needs to add the blood type on their system. And my question is, why do we need to add it and replicate that information on another system when it already exists in a system, in a database? The national ID will help us to link all of the databases together, that as soon as that QR code is scanned, requesting blood type or requesting your medical conditions or information, then it will be shared with the right authorities. You have many databases within the public sector. You have many databases within the private sector. For example, BWSL, DG, BL, all the banks, Social Security, Ministry of Health, you name it. There is so many databases that exist, and the hope and expectation is that everyone is onboarded to the national ID for verification services. Even if you apply for a phone plan, even if you're using DigiWallet, even if you're using eCash, instead of using a two-factor authentication method, you use your biometric information to be able to validate yourself as a user of that service.
Following Cabinet's meeting on Tuesday, it was agreed that the Prime Minister will hold over the portfolio for foreign affairs while Minister Francis Fonseca recovers from open heart surgery in the next few weeks. Minister of State Marconi Leal will hold over foreign trade, while Minister of State Ramon Cervantes will take the lead in education. Minister of State Osman Martinez said that he was not passed over to serve as the temporary Minister for Foreign Trade.
That's a question to the Prime Minister, but I don't think a temporary minister is needed. I know the Prime Minister is looking into it. He's the one who's holding that position, and I believe it's only right. I mean, I don't think anyone can replace Minister Fonseca, and I want to take this opportunity to wish him well and a fast recovery. We've been praying to him. He's, in addition to a colleague, he's a good friend and a mentor that I have.
And would you be able to share why they promoted Marconi Leal as opposed to you having more experience?
But I don't know if they have promoted Marconi Leal, but I know that he is in foreign trade. I am not in foreign affairs and foreign trade. I am at the Ministry of Economic Transformation, which is the ministry under the Prime Minister's office.
Minister of State Osman Martinez has an optimistic view regarding the implementation of the Maya Land Rights 2015 Caribbean Court of Justice Consent Order. He is one of the two ministers on a 4-member panel reviewing draft legislation to give effect to the consent order, which recognizes the rights of the Maya to their customary lands. Commenting on the announcement by the Maya that they are at an impasse with the government and are seeking a clarification from the CCJ ruling, Martinez said that the proposed method of 5 acres per person with evidence required thereafter is still a just proposal.
Well, first and foremost, they do have the right to submit a new request to the Caribbean Court of Justice. Secondly, I respectfully disagree that we are too far apart. I believe that under the leadership of PM Briseño, even Ministry of Indigenous Affairs was put in place so that we can have respectful discussions. But indeed, there are a lot of questions, and the questions are based on the basic and most fundamental pillar that we must have for everyone, and that is the right to humanity. And so we do support and we do understand that as a government we must comply with the Caribbean Court of Justice decision, but at the same time there is a right that we must respect on the third parties that are within the area that has been identified, and which is the case that was taken to the Caribbean Court of Justice. And so the government of Belize have initiated what I would say a very innovative approach to put two representatives from the government to discuss the way forward on the draft legislation and the implementation, so that both the government and the leaders of the MLA can come together, and together we can implement the legislation. We had our first meeting, which was to look at the terms of reference. And I believe that meeting was very productive, because in every negotiations you can put proposals forward. But proposals does not mean that it's a final decision. And so there is a proposal, but that's not a final decision. That was our first meeting of many. There is a roadmap of how many meetings we should have within a 2 months period, of which we have only had our first one. So to say that on our first meeting we are far apart, based on my experience in negotiations, I will respectfully disagree, because I believe that at the contrary, there is a way forward that we have agreed to a roadmap on how we will be discussing the way forward.
All right, that's our news package for this morning, the 14th day of May 2026. There's more news coming up around 12 o'clock, right after the morning stew. An update at 3 o'clock, and a full nude broadcast at 5:15. All this on CREM Radio. Here on XTV, we bring you the entire news, optics and all, at 6 o'clock this evening. It's now 5 minutes to 7 o'clock. We'll take a short break, come back, we'll open the phone lines. We do have a guest coming in a little bit after 7:30 this morning. Please stay tuned.
Informative, accurate, current information. CREM's newscast. Local, regional, and international news. Weather and sports.
Altoona is one of the most visited Mayan city up until lately. The adjacent communities have collaborated together to see how they can get a space here that the wood carvers could actually market and sell their product. Not having the POS machine in the past, we have lost a lot of sales. Atlantic Bank helped supported our business, giving us the opportunity to get the POS machine. Now with the POS machine, we are able to do more sales, and that will, also bring more, finance to our families.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Stay connected in the USA for as low as $10. With Smart Roaming Data Pass, staying connected is simple and affordable. Get the data you need starting at 1,000 megabytes to stay connected, to larger plans that keep you online while you travel across the USA, so you can message, browse, video call, and navigate wherever you go. No SIM swap, no bill shock. Just simple, affordable pricing. Activate easily by dialing *100# using the Smart app or online. Smart Roaming Data Pass. Staying connected the smart way. Smart, bringing people together.
Amandala is now online. You can now access Amandala's midweek and weekend issues online by logging on to our website at amandala.com.bz/news and joining our membership portal today. There's 5 easy steps to get unlimited access to weekly e-paper, archive publications, and a host of other exclusive contents. Number 1, go to Amandala's website. Number 2, navigate to subscribed areas. Number 3, choose a membership level. Number 4, check out using our secured portal. Number 5, log into the members only section. Telephone numbers 501-280-4703 or 202-4477. Fax us at 501-222-4702, or you could email at amandalapress@yahoo.com or amandalapress@gmail.com. Amandala, all power to the people.
Back. This is WUB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. My name is Nuri Mohammed. I hold over on the Thursdays and Fridays of this provocative weekday program every morning, Monday to Friday, here on XTV and Creme Radio. We welcome you to the program. The first half hour today will be open lines, and then we have a very interesting guest coming in a little bit after 7 o'clock. I think she will bring some important information for you. Our number here is 280-5848, 280-5848, and you could bring up whatever is on your mind this morning. I think that I would want to just say a few words about the SOE, the state of emergency, which was called earlier, late last week. I am not in favor of SOEs on a call. However, I understand why it is in the toolbox of the Commissioner of Police as he manages the crime issue in Belize. I do see one or two differences with this particular SOE. Perhaps one of the most notable is that the SOEs of the past were conducted as if a dragnet of bringing in as many as possible, and in that process some who were not guilty of any particular issue at the time that they were detained made up for many of the numbers, whereas there were those who were in fact responsible for the chaos that happened during the time that the SOE was called. But this time around, there are less than 15 persons that are presently detained. I am told it may go up a few more, but it is clear that this particular SOE is operating on the level of what is called in this type of business surgical, meaning that it is a very selected going after individuals that the police department believes need to be detained based on what Bart Jones, the Deputy Commissioner of Police, is calling intelligence, which means what you get off the street from snitches, from police investigators, etc. And so the police gathers that information, and on the basis of their what they refer to as intelligence, then they act out of that. We also know that the government is facing huge fines because of violation of the SOE Act, and as a result there have been persons who were detained in previous SOEs who sued the police department, the Attorney General, and won their case. And there will be and is an appeal on those cases, but that is what brought in that 13th Amendment, if you remember, because it made the situation more difficult for the police department to execute, based on the fact that if you're going to pull people in and not give them their due process, then you end up being liable for lawsuits. And the lawyers have become even more ambitious over the last 2 or 3 years in dealing with these cases. They did not deal with these cases 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, because we've been dealing with SOEs continually for the last 2 administrations. So this particular process that we're going through with this SOE appears to be a cumulative understanding that the way it was conducted previously is not the way forward. And so, as you know, within this law, that the government has the option to weigh if it will do it for 30 days or if it will appeal to go beyond that 30-day period. But within that period, each one of those detained must go through a process where they are informed as to why they were arrested and being detained. They have to be presented with that, and all of that is part of their due process that they have to go through, and is part of the reason why there were lawsuits before, because those processes were not fully complied with, and as a result lawyers became very active in coming to the defense of those who were in their eyes unjustly detained. So that is what is going on now. We will see. As I said, my understanding is that there is not more than, there is under 15 persons that have been detained. And when you compare that to the figures like 130 that were locked up in previous SOEs, we can see that this particular SOE going forward is applying a more surgical or strategic detainment of certain individuals. And as it becomes a little bit more clear, we will share it with you. There is this thing of the national ID, which some people are grumbling that why do we need that since we already have Social Security card and we also have passport as identification with biometrics on it. And some people are concerned that is this the move on the part, I don't know if you're aware, but the United States has the biodata for much of what's going on in the Caribbean, certainly for Belize. Our biodata, including our information at immigration and these other areas where personal information on individuals are kept, that should be secured. That's what that cyber security is all about. It should be secured, and it should not be shared with anyone. That should be your private identity. But our biodata is being shared with the Americans. Welcome, caller. Yeah, welcome, welcome.
How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good, thank God.
I could call earlier this morning and talk about the SOE, you know?
Yeah. Still to talk about it a little bit. What you got to say about it?
But anyway, I've been saying one thing and one thing I will keep saying. And I want to hear your views and opinion on this. Is that when I went through the documents and information under the SOE to find out exactly what it's about. But anyway, that's not an overnight talking. But then who got information, they are not SOE. And you know this. But my point is not that. My point is that if you're going to, if you want to get active, I believe personally, inform the public about it. Make the public be aware of it. You see, because the back and forth in the public, that when you have the people out unexpectedly and just start going bad and making know that for the notice. I know that under the SOE, we usually come because he or she in this household is gang related. You understand? How one become gang related, brother Nuri? Because you hang with people, you live in a neighborhood. How one become gang related? I'll give credit and respect to say that he is gang related because under the department we have enough information to prove that he's part of a gang. Fine, we understand that. But when you pick up anybody will look like a gang, then that's a problem. Not even the police department are aware of the procedure about what SOE. They didn't know it worked. They didn't know it worked. All they know that the others give up and they want to do their duty. You understand? It could inform your country about certain things, brother Nuri. It's about the leadership. Keep the people make them be aware of certain things. So that when it gets out of hand, we don't got this back and forth. And it's all over the news. And it's all in the streets. And it's all over social media. Tell a loved one abroad, they want to know where they want home. Right? What's happening, Billy? There's all type of things happening at this place, brother Nuri, that we are not aware of.
Well, before you switch the subject, make I just respond to your initial question. One is that you will not find that the department, the police department or the ministry, etc., will inform before time that an SOE is about to happen. Simply because the individuals that they are hoping to detain may hear that and go to bush. So they will not. Hold on. Make a finish, man. Make a finish.
All right.
So secondly, I agree with you, and Mo said it earlier this week, that immediately after the SOE is called, there's a social responsibility to explain to the public exactly why you're doing it, what are the conditions under which you're doing it. And they did have a press conference where that was said. So I believe that the mistakes that were made in the past with SOEs are being corrected by this one going forward. But I don't think that you will get the government or any government to come and say, we're thinking about an SOE down the road and this may happen. Maybe you could do it as a kind of a threat and a warning. But once you have decided that you want to execute one SOE, you can't inform the public that the SOE will take place because the persons that you're trying to detain in the SOE will scatter.
But I know about you don't know where to go, brother. You're small. You don't know where to go, Belize. You're small, you don't know much.
Yeah, boy.
You don't know where to go. You're small, brother Nuri.
I hear you.
And you can't hide too long.
But some of the man they hide.
No, the man they don't hide, the man they look support.
Boy,
And they love one.
exactly. That's the way they say. You know, I mean, see if this...
Because so people know that their family is going too much. This doesn't make sense.
Yes.
No, listen, brother.
Yeah.
When you come, the time come, you pick up who you need to pick up, you know. It's a good knowledge. How the thing happen, you pick up who you pick up.
Who pick up?
And they pick up everybody.
But this is where they say, Brick. This is where they say, Brick. In the past, that's exactly what happened. You and me right now would be making noise and say, boy, look how they take them 2 or 3 busload a man in a prison. That's not what happened this time around. So I can only draw the conclusion that lessons were learned from the mistakes of the past. I'm telling you, my understanding or my intelligence is that there's less than 15 men as compared to over 130 the last time I was in there. You see what I'm saying? So, and this is not the question of SOE or not SOE. We don't deal with that because that's a legal question and that can be argued by the.
So that's about human rights.
Yeah. All right. Let's go there.
Because at the end of the day, people always give violate, brother Nuri. Always give violate. You know, who do it to? Because who do to get the system crack down on me? That's how they spend their bed, how they have to sleep on it. But you got a lot of innocent people out here.
Absolutely, brother.
A lot of innocent people out here.
Yeah.
Some horrible stories.
Yeah.
And you not believe this? And it seems as though the people who run these communities, you know, the military, they don't care. I've been always saying this. Listen to me. One day I know about government. When something interests one government and they want benefit of it, they went 110% all out. They were all out. But when you're not interested, you know, not that they're not for their interest, they ignore it.
Yeah. Well,
they put it in a people's hands who, or you could find the word to tell me, they don't qualify to be in the position when they're in them.
Yeah.
Especially when they go and address the public. You know, our current story just don't make sense.
Yeah, well, that.
I always tell it, they want to make sense, be good, but you go and tell we lie. At least we know you can tell us something where we know, alright, it never happens anyway. You know what I'm saying? The thing is, where I need my point to it is that we can do something very simple. Very simple. Use the media. Get a message out. You know?
I agree with you, brother. I
talk about make the public, make the police department and the public have one communication and understanding. How you be like that when the police department doesn't believe in being aggressive,
yeah,
disrespectful, unmannerly behavior.
But listen to me. Let me ask you this question, Brick, because the point you're making and you know, you can't argue with it because, I mean, you're a fish from river bottom. You know exactly what's going on in that environment, in that streets. And the criticism that you're making is correct. I mean, sufficient information is not out there. There are a lot of officers of the law that are not up on how to carry out their duties. We understand all of that. But you have to say that the government they listen to. Because if you remember the noise that we made over the 13th Amendment, and the 13th Amendment has been pulled back. And the 13th Amendment was trying to do something similar, but going after these guys in a different kind of way, different strategic way. The public didn't appreciate the explanation given by the government, despite the fact that it went to Dangriga, it went to Belmopan, it went here in Belize City. It did not convince the public. And so they pulled back. So you have to say that there is an aspect of listening to what the public is saying in regards to these matters. But then on the other hand, and you just said it just now, some man make them bed hard, and so they have to sleep in night. So you can't make the good suffer for the bad. You have to find a way that those who just not want change and want to stay when they're there want to feel the brunt, while those who are innocently wannabes were caught up in the mix gets a chance to get into special programs to reorient them back to something more rehabilitative, rather than throw them in a jail just because they are associated, or as you said just now, gang affiliated. That's not a charge of saying that a man did something. That's saying you're questioning his right to association, because that's a constitutional right that I could associate with who I want. You can't stop me. But under an SOE, you can be prevented from that during that period of the SOE. So here you got a constitutional right to associate with who you want, and then you go and charge called gang affiliation, or you're the hang with gang. That means you're the associate with people whom the state has declared unlawful. You understand what they try to say, Brick?
Yeah. Brother Nuri, state of emergency and the 13th Amendment are two different words. Right?
Yeah.
But the action are the same.
Yeah, in a way you could say, but like I'm saying, the reason why, I bring forward this difference is I'm not a spokesman for the police department. So I'm not authorized to talk for the police department, but I'm talking as an activist, as a person involved, as a person working with the police department in LIU, but I don't hold a brief. I don't hold a position. So my opinion is Nuri's position, Nuri's opinion.
Well, I tell you this, and I know you don't agree with LIU will work.
Well, I heard you say that, but again, you know,
It doesn't work.
Yeah, but wait.
I give it enough.
I hear you. Brick. I hear you. And I give kudos to what you say, because like I said, respect to your work on the ground. All right, you are very grounded, not only from 2 Cents Camp, you've been grounded. All right. So what I'm saying is that LIU had like 10 points, if I could use that analogy. These are our 10 objectives. You can't say that LIU not accomplished none of that 10. You could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and call it out, and I will agree with you that it has not accomplished its goal there. But man, they send children to school with Tubal. Right now, you got a number of youths who are employed. I don't like that employment situation, a clean drain, but some of them boys going home with a leave money at the end of the week. So I usually call this crime management thing who you egg, because this is not just one straightforward thing. If you want a straightforward thing, it should have been started 30 years ago and maintain that.
Can LIU show me one youth for out of the street who have been deep in gun activity, right? In our public space, they work right now. Deep, I don't talk no faith. So, by the way, you know what I'm saying? In our public space.
Yeah.
Because listen to me, if you go in jail for robbery, you deal with drugs, whatever, some government department, I would say, because I work a couple of youth who keep them choose to keep anonymous, that I know, far as analyze and do time and do everything, the work. I know.
All right. So that's the answer right there. That's the answer. I may call name, but you can't call name, believe too small. But I could tell you a number. I could tell you a number of youth, children of farmer gang members, when we go in that same direction, where they work with government right now. Where they work, you know, one the work that Benny's. I'm pointing out the ones where I could, one the work. Look,
let's be real. You don't have to do that. That individual has got something to do with that.
Man, stop it,
that
man.
Individual make up his mind.
Yeah, but stop it, man. The whole idea that not just LIU with only organization.
Well, I know you're champion to LIU, because
my brother, that not me just to talk for LIU. That me to try and make sense out of this thing where we deal with for over 30 odd years. This issue where we deal with, we have been dealing with it for. Look here, you know that, man. You know that for over 30 odd years we've been dealing with this thing, Brick. You know personally. All right? And you can personally point out to people who this approach has changed and they're back on the right path, whereas they were on a debt level before. But it don't mean that it solved the problem. The problem is not solved. The problem is just, you know, we keep going after the problem and let go the ball as far as I'm concerned. But there are people you could point to that have benefited from these initiatives, brother. They're brothers, many.
Brother Nuri, right now this country, and I could tell you this with them people here, this country, them people here are full of understanding and will engage with technology, because everybody got it in their hand. So these people are well aware of where they go on, and that's the reason why every time something happens, somebody have out their phone. That's the reality we live right now. This is the best time for the leaders of this country could have sit down and talk to any one of these people, the union, the Steve, any one of these people, because right now we are at a stage of now we are fully aware.
Yeah.
And when it won, and we got full understanding.
Yeah, but listen, Rick,
we just choose to be big against each other and show each other with power struggle and the position we hold and be ignorant to the truth and the reality.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's say that.
All right, good, my brother, good. We do have a guest coming in just a short time, and I think you will enjoy. It's right along the same lines of our conversation this morning, just a different angle of that conversation. Our number here is 280-5848, 280-5848. Yeah, I was asking about the national identification card because I wanted to know how people feel about giving up their information. I think it's going to be mandatory, or it's going to be put in a situation where there's certain services that you will not be able to access if you don't have that ID card. And it is critical. I know that in the United States, they started a few years ago to demand beyond your passport and driver's license and your social security card, that you have to get state ID. I know in California and I think New York and Illinois, you have to get a state ID, which is a different set of bios from your passport, your social security card, and your driver's license. So I don't know if we are just following in that trend, because we were told that the reason why your passport is better than your driver's license, your social security card is better than any ordinary piece of data with your name on it, is because of this little chip that you see in your card, or these lines that they put in there, which makes it such that you can use it as really like an international ID. If you're going out of the country, you can take your Belizean passport and show it to verify that you are who you are, regardless of where you are. And especially with the biometrics that have been put into our current passport, it seems as though all the data that needs to be gathered are there on those chips. So I don't quite understand the rationale for driving home this idea of a national ID, but it appears that it will become law and driven by requirement, mandatory. We'll take our stop here for 2 Cents Cam with our brother Brick, and that is sponsored by Fort Point Security.
You're watching WUB and this is XTV, and I want to know how the people feel about price gouging in at the stores then. Let's go find out people in 2 cents.
No, mal. No good.
No good?
No.
Now you're 2 cents?
Yeah.
Alright. How you feel about the price gouging?
Already used to it, I just can't run for it, so I just have to even it up when you go buy my food. So
that you're 2 cents?
Yeah, that, and basic understanding, cause I think everybody go shopping, so.
Right. 2 cent question here, how you feel about the price gouging in at the store?
Hi, good morning. Well, it's challenging, but you know, I try to figure it a way and know what I will purchase, and even though some of the stuff that I purchased, yes, then they're up there, but you know, what we could do about it, just purchase.
That you're 2 cents?
That's my 2 cents.
Alright. 2 cents question of the day.
Okay.
How you feel about the price gouging in at the store?
I don't feel happy. Everything raised like crazy. No control price in each store. One Chinese got a different price, Indian get different price, Bangladesh people get different price. That don't make Belizean people get happy. Never.
That you're 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The 2 cent question of the day. How you feel about the price gouging?
Price gouging is ridiculous right now, because like every different store that you go to, like the prices varies from store to store, and it's like crazy. Like it's not going up. This.
This Mother's May, celebrate the woman who makes the house feel like home all month long. Great deals like 15% off bathroom and kitchen fixtures from Moen, Hansgrohe, and Duraflow. Plus 15% off Hispasensa tiles, Stormguard windows, and 40% off Sunlight windows. And 15% off Berger paints and huge savings on clearance colors. So come in to Habet and Abet or Brothers Habet, call us or WhatsApp us today and make this Mother's May one to remember. Happy Mother's Day to all marvelous moms.
Altoona is one of the most visited Mayan city up until lately. The adjacent communities have collaborated together to see how they can get a space here that the wood carvers could actually market and sell their product. Not having the POS machine in the past, we have lost a lot of sales. Atlantic Bank helps supported our business, giving us the opportunity to get the POS machine. Now with the POS machine, we are able to do more sales, and that will, also bring more, finance to our families.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Stay connected in the USA for as low as $10. With Smart Roaming Data Pass, staying connected is simple and affordable. Get the data you need starting at 1,000 megabytes to stay connected to larger plans that keep you online while you travel across the USA. So you can message, browse, video call, and navigate wherever you go. No SIM swap, no bill shock. Just simple, affordable pricing. Activate easily by dialing *100# using the Smart app or online. Smart Roaming Data Pass. Staying connected the smart way. Smart, bringing people together.
Now that we have the new water system, it has improved the lives of these people a lot.
The life of my village get better. Now we have our potable water in our house.
الشال شقيل بال بس استخا أقريش يدش لقها أوستيك ما نقليها عن قتيو أم أوستيك وانكوش مان كما دناش وانكو تهنا كوشيك استاو عليقها نقاشوك شقوكا نكوشيك شقوكات بس نحوانك أوستيك بياك.
I thanks for the minister to help us for drilling this well and give us the pump.
Right now, I see my village is getting good. I see water system, I see road, and we have our health post there.
We want to say thanks to the government of Belize, thanks to those that were there for Machakila, and we truly appreciate the support that is given.
For decades, BEL has powered Belize's growth and progress, lighting homes, energizing industries, and fueling national development. But in a world reshaped by extreme weather patterns, digital transformation, and evolving customer needs, the future of energy demands a new approach. The future of energy is now, and it's not just about new technology, it's about people and how we use, manage, and store power smarter. BEL is leading the transformation, blending modern advancements with the wisdom of sustainable energy practices. Integrating technologies will redefine how Belize produces and uses energy. With distributed generation and smart grid technologies, customers are becoming power partners. Energy is no longer a one-way street. BEL is making key investments that will reinforce the grid to make this a reality, ensuring energy security for generations. At BEL, we are more than an energy provider. We work to safeguard Belize's energy future, which will have demand response programs, where customers will be able to shift use during peak hours to take advantage of the new time of use or off-peak rate structures. Customer energy portals, real-time insights and tools to track usage and manage energy smarter. Smart metering, advanced metering infrastructure, faster, safer service and actionable energy insights. Distributed generation, integrating rooftop solar, microgrids and battery storage for two-way power flows into the national grid. Together, we are bringing you a brighter tomorrow.
This is WUB, Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. It's a 14th day of May 2026. And we are very happy to have in our studio the principal of, and she will have to help me to make sure I don't mispronounce this, the
ITSAC STEAM Academy.
ITSAC STEAM Academy.
Yes.
And that is that compound over there by the IT vet, which is a whole brand new compound. They've really retrofitted that place, and it's an excellent environment. I've been there. And she is Christine Koch. She's the principal of the school. And I must say that as a result of our conversation with Dr. Barrow last week, I was enthused, and I got off the phone immediately and called her and asked her to be on the show. So I planned this way ahead of time. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we appreciate your being. Now I'm going to go deep into sharing with our audience the objective of the program, first of all. So tell us why was it necessary to establish a STEAM program in Belize?
So, well, as we all know, modern times are fast approaching or is upon us right now.
Yes, indeed.
And as a teacher, I can speak from that perspective first. You know, being in the classroom, teaching the traditional way. And what do I mean by that? You know, you have a textbook and you write the information on the board, or you put it on a PowerPoint. The student, you explain it to the student writes notes, the student takes a test. In the classroom, I felt that was a bit, I wasn't getting to my students. We were losing them. They would say, why is this relevant to me? Why am I learning this? And those were important questions. And so the ministry, I believe, had that same sort of perspective and decided that, STEAM is something that fosters innovation, creativity, and it brings the sciences together. And so why not build a school that focuses on that?
Okay.
And so that's where came to be.
That's the origin. Well, my knowledge of STEM before STEAM was going back maybe 20 odd years ago, when the ministry was talking about the fact that they have found regionally that our students are not strong in the sciences, in technology, in engineering, and in maths. And that throughout the Caribbean, it was found that these subjects we were kind of drifting behind. And so there was this initiative to start to introduce it. This was before your institution was established. And it seems as though at that time, it was more science that we were trying to deal with. The science of math, the science of engineering, the science of technology, and of course, science itself. But now what I hear from you and what I heard from Dorian last week is that this concept is much wider than we thought. This is not just to increase the science curriculum. But what I got from him and what I also got from you is that you're trying to get our children to think creatively, to make things and to be innovative. So can you share, how did that come about?
Sure. So I think one of the things I want to touch on is we have to have a North Star. In education, you need to have something that you're working towards. And so when we were developing the curriculum alongside MIT,
MIT in the States?
That's right.
Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Right, where
that's a big
all the
school.
brilliant, exactly, all the brilliant minds come. So we had the privilege of working alongside them for quite some time, and we got training from them, which added to ITSAC, But when we were down, the first thing was that we wanted to make sure that whatever we were teaching was culturally based in Belize, and it was Belizean based. And so our North Star that we use at ITSAT is the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And if you know anything about the Sustainable Development Goals, there's 17 of them. And when we started doing our research before writing any curriculum, we looked at the SDGs that were the main ones that Belize was focusing on.
Now, these are SDGs are for Belize, or this is a regional, or
it's
this
for
is
the world. It's global.
This is global.
It's global, but every country has particular SDGs that are more prevalent than others. And one of ours is SDG 14, which is life underwater. That is just one of them. And the reason for that is because, of course, we have the second largest barrier reef, we have tourism, we are a coastal community.
Okay.
And so...
You're moving fast. So slow down SDG for me again.
No problem.
That means... What?
Sustainable Development Goals.
All right.
Yeah, it's a UN Sustainable
and these
Development Goals.
This is what countries should strive for in order to keep up with the global, or
it's what countries should strive for, because there are challenges that happen in different countries. So you'll have SDG 14, which is life underwater, that focuses on issues and challenges that our waters are facing. Then you have life on land, which then focuses on climate change, and there's 17 of them.
Okay.
And so, like I said,
are there any that deals with urban issues?
That's right.
How to deal with your population?
Correct.
You have that too. What number is that?
There is. That one I can't recall at this point in time.
Okay, but
right?
you do have that also.
That is one of them.
Is that in your institution?
Yes. If one of my SDP teacher would say, "Oh no," but yes, it's infrastructure.
Okay.
That has sustainable infrastructure. That's what it's called.
But physical infrastructure. Do you deal with people thinking at all?
Yes. Mental health.
Okay.
Inclusion.
Is also
education.
There.
Yes.
Okay.
It's also in there.
So. Sorry for disturbing you, because you were on a roll just now talking about how that fits in. You got the training from the MIT, and you start to implement a program that will address us really.
Right. So that's just one aspect of it, right? But what I'm trying to get across is that when you're doing a STEAM program, it's not just focusing on the sciences or the technology and finding a random problem here that you want to be innovative about. It's focused on an issue and a challenge that Belize is currently facing, that the ministries are working towards. So whenever we saw that these were the SDGs we wanted to focus on, we then collaborated with these ministries. So we have this network that we've organized where we can reach out to them, and then they come and they bring the real world challenges that they're facing with. And so the teachers and the students, they then come up with a solution to solve that problem. And so you'll never necessarily hear an ITSA student say, "Why are we doing this?" Because they know exactly why they're doing it, and it is purposeful, it is real world, and it will solve an issue in Belize. And so when you now wrap that around STEAM, if there's a challenge, you need to learn the science behind it. When you look at the technology aspect and engineering, if you come up with a solution, more than likely you will need to engineer something, you'll need to make something in order to fix that solution, right? Or try to solve that solution or alleviate it. And there is nothing that says we're going to leave math aside, because if you're building something, it needs to be measured, it needs to be calculated, and so that's where you have it. Now the art part, which is the A, if you build at ITSA we call these things prototypes. They're kind of like little models that you build first before you try to build the real thing. And so when you're looking at the artistic aspect of it, you want something that captures the eye of whoever it is that you're building the solution for. And so there is a specific pathway that you take in order to ask all the questions. What do you think about this? How do you feel about this? How does this color make you feel? What do you think about the design? And then you go back and you iterate. So you'll hear these terminologies that my students are fully aware of: iteration, prototyping, empathizing, because that's the process. So when I was listening to the interview with Dr. Bauer, he talked about the flower out of the
from the seeds.
Yeah, from the seeds, And so I could see how we can take that through the design. You had asked questions about, you know, how have people used it, have they tested it? So that's also part of the pathway that they take. We call it the design thinking process. And so then you would go, you research it, see if there's things out, other people who have done that before, because what you don't want is to replicate the exact same thing somebody has done, because that's where you lose the innovation. And so you have to do the research, the background research first. Once you get that information, you find the gap. Oh, they don't have this particular thing. And then you see the need of the people in Belize. So was there a need for this type of flour, for this type of coffee, and what nutritional aspects? So that's a science behind it. And then when he was talking about the designing of the bottle, and that's a technological aspect of it, you know. And of course, the mathematical aspect would come with, in terms of calculating nutritional value, how much you're putting in the bottles, and, you know, then quantifying sales and so forth. So this is where you now bring all of this, the letters in STEAM together. It's not meant to be isolated. And I think that's where, at our school, we've learned this concept of transdisciplinary. And it's a big, big technical word, but it just means that you're not isolating. They go to science class and they learn one thing in science. They go to technology class, they learn one thing in technology.
And then there's no connection.
There's no connection. And I think that is something we're looking at, how best we can approach that. And the teachers, like we said, you know, we plan together to see how best we can come up with a solution to one problem, which is our North Star, for each of the forms. Right? So it is quite complex.
It is complex, but it's clear that you know the roadmap, because you're explaining it very, very clearly. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll ask you to show what you're doing there with your number. How many students, by the way, do you have?
We have 198 students.
And that's a small population of our total youth in school. So we'll ask, how will that eventually translate into a larger population when we come back?
Of course.
So we'll take another break, and we'll be back with Principal Christine Koch.
Now that we have the new water system, it has improved the lives of these people a lot.
The life of my village get better. Now we have our potable water in our house.
اللي شال شقيل بال بس استخا أقري شديش لقاها أوستيك ما نقليها عن قتيو أم أوستيك وانكوش مان ما كمان نشبانكو تو نكوشيك شتاو ألقاها نكاشوك شقوكا نكوشيك شبوشوكات بس نخوانك أوستيك بياك.
I thanks for the minister to help us for drilling this well and give us the pump.
Right now, I see my village is getting good. I see water system, I see road, and we have our health post there.
We want to say thanks to the government of Belize, thanks to those that were there for Machakila, and we truly appreciate the support that is given.
Nando's Wholesale is your market leader in Belize's wholesale industry when it comes to high-quality products at the most reasonable and competitive prices. With over 40 years in the wholesale business, Nando's Wholesale embraces the partnership of the hotel industry in Belize by providing world-renowned brands in wines, seasonings, condiments, and cleaners in industrial sizes, as well as small and large kitchen appliances and equipment. Nando's also takes pride in providing one of the quietest and most durable air conditioning systems in Belize with technical support and spare parts. Nando's Wholesale. Professional, reliable, effective, and prompt. Nando's Wholesale always delivers. Visit us at www.nandos.bz or send an email to nandos@nandos.bz. Or, even better yet, give us a call today at 222-500 or 280-8080 to speak to one of our sales representatives today.
Welcome to Design Depot, where you'll find premium quality products from trusted brands, all in one place. Visit us today for quality products, expert service, and the brands you trust. Design Depot, all in one place.
Altoona is one of the most visited Mayan city up until lately. The adjacent communities have collaborated together to see how they can get a space here that the wood carvers could actually market and sell their product. Not having the POS machine in the past, we have lost a lot of sales. Atlantic Bank helped supported our business, giving us the opportunity to get the POS machine. Now with the POS machine, we are able to do more sales, and that will, also bring more, finance to our families.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
This Mother's May, celebrate the woman who makes the house feel like home all month long. Great deals like 15% off bathroom and kitchen fixtures from Moen, Hansgrohe, and Duraflow. Plus 15% off Hispasensa tiles, Stormguard windows, and 40% off Sunlight windows. And 15% off Berger paints and huge savings on clearance colors. So come in to Habet and Abet or Brothers Habet, call us or WhatsApp us today and make this Mother's May one to remember. Happy Mother's Day to all marvelous moms.
Stay connected in the USA for as low as $10. With Smart Roaming Data Pass, staying connected is simple and affordable. Get the data you need starting at 1,000 megabytes to stay connected to larger plans that keep you online while you travel across the USA. So you can message, browse, video call, and navigate wherever you go. No SIM swap, no bill shock. Just simple, affordable pricing. Activate easily by dialing *100# using the Smart app or online. Smart Roaming Data Pass. Staying connected the smart way. Smart, bringing people together.
Welcome back. This is WUB, Wake Up Belize, Morning Vibes. It's an interesting conversation that I'm having here with principal of the ITSAC Institute or college, or what would
STEAM Academy.
The STEAM Academy, which is there by Freetown and the street.
St. Joseph Street.
St. Joseph Street, that's right. And it is a new program. It's about 3 years old, but listening to its principal, Scott, it's a wonderful concept. Let's get back to the conversation. There's so much that you've said just during that break just now, that your objective primarily there is to get students to think creatively, to not give them the solution to issues, but rather to challenge them with a problem that they have to bring what they have and what they're learning to solve that problem.
Got it, right.
So when they come to you with the answer, it's not a paper you check off, but rather it is a product and a solution that they have brought to that product. Now, what age group are you engaging there with that kind of thinking?
11 to 14-year-olds.
Wow. 11 to 14-year-olds.
11 to 14-year-olds.
So we should have some very brilliant young people, because this is literally thinking out the box. Now tell me, and you said this during the break, that going back to the old traditional way of teaching would be very uncomfortable to you if you were forced to do that. Why?
As I explained in the beginning of the interview, I came, and I want to be explicitly clear, there is space for traditional schools. I came from a traditional school, and but I think as we move in the era of modernization, I think there needs to be some changes to how we deliver teaching. And I think if you go to these schools who have not innovated their ways of teaching, it's teacher-centered. What we mean by that in teaching terms is that the teacher is the one who delivers all the knowledge. This is the parts of the cell, this is what each function, each part does. Here's a test, you administer it, you get 100. All right, we move on to the next thing, parts of a leaf. And for me, I feel like there is no connection, and I always listen to my students, why are we learning this, miss? How is this going to help us? What is this solving? And I think those questions, while you might want to ignore it, it is very important, because the student is telling you something. I want more. They're not saying I don't want to learn. They're just saying, I want more. I want to do more, rather than just listening to you. And no offense to the teacher, but that's the reality. And I feel like if I'm not able to and you explained it so perfectly just now, I give them a problem that is real world. It's not a hypothetical problem from out of my head as a teacher. It is a problem that Belize is facing, that ministries are trying to solve. And I give it to my student because they have ideas, but they need that platform to show what is it that they can bring to the table. And of course, with the teachers who we've hired at ITSAT, they have specialized skills. They come with architecture, they come with drawing, with painting, they come with math. And so you'll notice that whenever they teach the students now, the student is interested, because I can use that CAD skill to design my prototype. I can use that to also bring my idea to life, 3D printing. I can draw it, I can sketch it, I can paint it, and I can deliver it to an audience in whichever way that audience might want it to be. And that's the creative side. Because, and I'll give you a simple example. If I give you a printout of data, 10 sheets with all numbers, the human brain would say, I'll get to that. However, we give our students the data and say, hey, how can we make this? Because that's a challenge. To get somebody to read that data, that is very important. They need to understand that data and what it means for Belize. But how do you get them to actually want to read it? Because that's the issue, that's a challenge. And so they designed a data sculpture, where through that piece of art, they're explaining what is on those 10 sheets of paper, right? And so now the person coming in will do the same thing. And what does this mean? And why do you have all of this? Oh, that represents how many people are being left behind when it comes to reading. Oh, really? So art and is the connecting bit for all the sciences.
So it couldn't have really worked as STEM. It needed art in order to realize itself.
Right. For us, it
that's
needed art. And so again, you see, me teaching in that manner is what brings my students alive. And you can see at the end when they do their panel presentations, because we do competency-based too, which means that we don't necessarily grade you and give you a grade at the end. We do that as formative assessments, but then at the end, to a panel, and we usually invite people who are not the educators for it to not be biased. So we invite the parents, we invite the community, and the student has to present to the panel and explain to them what is it that they're building, what solution, what SDG, how did they go through, what was the process.
Give me some examples of some of those projects that, for example, your panel would look at and assess the students' connection to what they're explaining.
So one of them that we're doing right now is creating websites. Creating websites, this is the computer science pathway. And they're creating websites to show the research that they have done, the data that they have collected in an interactive manner. Right? And so they have to learn that technical skill by itself to build the website from scratch. But they also show the panel how they bring in their math, because that's the data that they collected and the graphs that they created. And they have to bring in their English, because whatever is on the website you need to ensure that it is spelled well, it is formulated properly so that it's delivered to the audience, reaching the audience. It's not highly technical. And so when they sit down, they have to explain how all of these subjects link together to produce this one product. And that is how we assess them. Because that means that you have now understood that how math, how English, how Belizean studies, how maker, how digital art, fine art comes together to produce this one project. And that's just one. That's just one of them.
So if you're dealing with mostly science, does that mean that you're not dealing with literature? Because they have to be able to speak and communicate, and they need to learn English, or Spanish, or whatever language.
So let me clarify.
So that is in your curriculum.
That is in our curriculum. We have, and I just named some of the subjects. No, we have Belizean studies, right? Language arts, and those would be, I would want to say, the ones that you would hear everywhere else. We have other subjects like quantitative reasoning. Quantitative reasoning is a form of inquiry math. So instead of saying x plus y equals this, right? We would then have a scenario, a problem. And from that problem, you would then deduce the formulas that are needed to solve that. And you can understand clearly, oh, this is why you need trigonometry. Right? Because if you need to design in CAD, you need to understand angles, you need to understand measurement. So you can make the connections. So that's what we call quantitative reasoning. We have fine art, where we do sculpting, drawing, painting. We do digital art, where they're able to take their drawings and make them digitally. So whatever they want to sketch, they can then transform it digitally. We also have something called makerspace. And the makerspace is where they have laser cutters, 3D printers, vinyl cutters, so that they can then, that is where they teach them how to bring their ideas to life.
All right, let's go now to some practicals. How does a student get into this program? I understand you have a little bit less than 200. We have a large population of students who need everything that I've heard you say. So how do you get them into your program and avoid the idea of your program becoming an elitist program where only a few can access?
Okay, so one of the first things, and I'm glad you asked that question, because although we would be happy to accommodate as much students as possible, we are only limited to that small space that we have. So we have a small population because we also have a very small school, right? So we can't accommodate the 800 students like the other compounds.
Clearly.
So that's the first one. And every year we only have a certain amount of students that we can accept due to the limits that we have in terms of space.
I see.
And so again, when we started off, we decided that we're not going to look at your grades, your academic background, because we sincerely believe that every student can learn and every student brings a different
So
form.
how do you qualify? How does a student qualify to come in your program then?
In the beginning, it was a randomization. So the students who applied, they were just randomized, like in a lottery, right?
Okay.
So that would take away any bias that would have, say, oh, I want this one, I want that one. But as we progress, because you learn, you iterate, you learn from past experiences, we realize that there are, for you to want to be at ITSAT, as you just said, all of our students might need what you're saying. Sometimes parents have a different perspective, right? And so they would want to say, oh, but I want this. This is how I want it. And then we would say, okay, well, we believe that this might not necessarily be the best school for you. And so now we start to ensure that we have pre-meetings so that parents understand exactly what we do and they're fully on board. Right? And that's how now we're receiving our students.
I'm still not getting the answer I'm looking for. You have a very innovative concept here. You're at the point of despair, really, when I listen to you. But you have dragging behind you students with traditional methods of education, many of them not doing very well. The statistics are saying that many of our, especially boys, are still dropping out. So how do you avoid, if you're going through this Bolido way of selecting your people, how do you avoid leaving some youths behind?
In terms of, like I mentioned, no, the school is limited. But what I can tell you though, from the ministry's point, they are making strides, and I know because we work closely with the ministry, to make pavilions in every district.
Okay.
So one of the things that's unique to our school is the maker space, where they have all the technology to build. And these maker spaces are going to be put in every single one of the districts, and the schools already have been
identified. So you're
identified.
going to duplicate what you're doing there,
right? And
but
so
Ms. Cock, that is a very expensive project. I mean, you look like you got brand new everything over there, including your equipments, etc., etc. How do you duplicate that in another area unless we got a very huge budget? I know education has the largest budget, but it seems as though if you're going to duplicate the level of technology that I saw when I was there, you're going to have to spend a lot of money in the districts.
Well, that's not necessarily my decision to make. No, but I was just simply sharing with you because you were saying how do we now expand this to the other areas.
Yeah.
I would think that topic would be more suited for the CEO and the minister.
I'll wait till I get Ms. Mejia in.
Yeah, and she would explain it beautifully for you.
What about you're 3 years old, you say? As the principal, how do you see yourself and your project 5-10 years down the road?
Well, I see our project being more refined, more rigorous, and more, I would want to say, exposed to the community and solving issues that Belizeans are facing.
What kind of results are you getting in terms of percentage of competence?
Percentage of competence. So we look at our students, the rate, and you'll notice that about 10% of them tend to be more on the lower end of, because we use a scale, emerging, developing, achieving, and mastery. And about 10% of them are more on that emerging to developing part of the scale, no?
In the middle?
In the middle. Okay. And so when you look at competency, and again, this has to be a mindset shift that everybody has to have. You cannot become competent in something in 2 days, in 3 days, in not even a year can you become competent in things. And the kind of technical work that the students do, you're doing CAD, and I see them. And you appreciate these complexities when you're there seeing how they're struggling. So a struggling student who's at emerging does not mean that student is doing nothing. It just means that it takes a little bit more time than the others for that student to reach where they want to reach. So they're behind, and this is where when you're understanding teaching, this is where differentiation comes in.
Yes.
Because if you expect that all of them are going to be competent at the same time, that's never going to happen. So the expectation is that, okay, every student comes there at their own level, but they're enjoying what they're doing, and you can see, because they're not just doing tests and quizzes, they're actually building something, and they have failed about 10 times. And through those 10 times that they're failing, they are developing a skill that most adults sometimes, I think, don't have, which is resilience and persistence, because they're going to get that the 15th time, they're going to make sure that. And so when you grade as an educator, you're grading that student. You can't give them mastery because they haven't mastered it yet, but you can't fail them because they haven't failed in the sense that they're not doing anything.
You're a wonderful principal. That's the kind of principal we need. So listen, you're making me feel really good, because that to me is the kind of dynamics that we've always needed in our education, to make that student leave there feeling like, I haven't wasted my time. You have a lot of children who want to go to school, you know, because it's a boring situation.
Right.
Teachers who are speaking over their heads, etc. And then some teachers that are not competent to be able to draw things out of every student. But the home environment is also important.
Definitely.
And if you say that you have this bolito selection, you may end up with some students there who do not have a home environment to keep up with what they are learning, as compared to another whose parents are able to help that child at home to keep up her or his competence. So how do you balance that in terms of, that's a socioeconomic issue that you're dealing with there. So how do you incorporate that in your process?
I love that question. And the way we do it is every student at ITSA has a Chromebook. So every student has a computer device. They have access to internet, and they have access to everything that we have in on our compound, which means that you don't have this one having a computer versus that one who can't afford it saying, well, I don't have a computer, so I can't do it. Everybody has the same access to everything that we have on the campus, and they have access to a Chromebook and internet. And when I say access, they have access to whatever device that we have there. They just simply need to come and ask me or their teachers, and they have access to that. We don't give homeworks, which is again, you know, sometimes that would be bizarre for people, like, oh my God, you don't give homeworks. Like,
wonderful.
Why not? And the reason for that is that we for me especially, I see it as dividing. The divide becomes even greater. Why? Because if I have all the access at home, because they don't take their Chromebooks at home, by the way. We have them at school.
Okay.
And so if I go home, I have an access to computer and everything else, and you go home and you don't have access to anything. And then I tell you, okay, bring your research tomorrow. You will not bring yours because you don't have, and I will bring mine. And so this is where now we create the divide. So what we do is, in the scheduled time that we have for the day, that is where they get to do everything that they need to do. And we also have something called SIL, which is individualized learning, where they sit down and they start to see, okay, what are the things that I have pending? What are the things that I have? So that session is used as a sophisticated, specialized, because it's just for you as a student to figure out, okay, I need to see this teacher, I need to go to the maker space, I need to finish this. And you have access to all of that at school. So when you go home, there is no homework because you've done it at school. And so that again too is a shift in mindset, because, you know, and don't get me wrong, you know, my math teachers and my English teachers, they have, you know, emphasized that there's a need for reinforcements. So they send home activity sheets with the students if they know that, okay, we need to improve in math skills, in language skills, but it's not a homework that you're going to go do a project at home and then bring it for me, and then I'm going to grade it, and because you didn't deliver, you're going to get a zero.
So it's just exercise to
reinforcements to strengthen what they need.
What about your engagement of parents? The neglectful parent compared to the very engaged parent also affect the competence of the child that we're dealing with. So how do you get the not so interested parent to be engaged to the degree of I use the word again, the competence of the child, because the child can be motivated by a very, very energetic teacher, but be dragging at home, not because the parents are necessarily, they just
intentional.
they're just tied up in whatever is
Right.
the issue, but they recognize that my child is a talented child, and I want he or her to be in that school. But when I get home, I'm just too tired to even pay any kind of attention. How do you deal with those dynamics? I'm sorry to keep bringing it there.
No,
But when I
no.
look out there, those are some of the challenges.
And,
of our
and I appreciate the questions because it's true, and I'm not going to say that we have no challenge in terms of that. So what we tend to do is we work closely. I have a counselor, Miss Kanaki, and she's very, very much talented in what she does. She understands the situation. She's from Belize City. She lives in the south side, and so and I'm sharing these because that matters. For you to understand kids, you need to know or understand what they live through every day.
Clearly.
And so when she brings those for me, she would say, okay, we're identifying that this child is going through X and Y, and we need to see both parents, not the mom. Both parents. So when I would write a letter back home, I would say, I need to see Mr. and Mrs. Cook. This Christine, and I'm not calling you in to scold you. I'm calling you in because we're going to sit side by side and we're going to look at the problem. And this is the problem that's happening and what's going on at home, and how can you help me so that I can work better at school to help this child, no? And you realize that there's all kinds of situations, sometimes, we just got kicked out, Miss Cook. And so she's going on like, oh, okay, we understand. And so you look at the child from a different perspective there. And we have the privilege, because I know some people are going to say, oh, but we have 800 kids, we can't be doing that. We have the privilege because we're a small school. And I think that's what makes it different. And we can have sit-downs with parents, and I would say, hey, I can't make it during this time. Can you come at 5? Can you come? And I explain myself. And they would say, Miss, I have to work. I'm working till 5:30. Can we make? No problem. Because for me, if I understand what's going on and the parent is able to communicate with me, not me scolding the parent, because I think that's the misconception that parents have sometimes. Oh, you're being called to the principal's office. What my child do? And even so, I would have to tell the parent, no. I'm not calling you in to scold you. This is the first step. We're going to communicate together to see how we can fix this issue. And like I said, it's both parents, because what we want to see is if you're not working together, then that might be where the issue lies. And so now we're going to have to now see, the counselor will have to see how best we can find an opportunity to start to mend this, because the child is being affected, And so if we're going to work and give it all our best from the school's perspective, then we need both of your help, no?
Yeah.
And so that is how we've dealt with parents. So far I think it's that parents are wonderful parents. They support us. When we call them in, they make their best efforts to come in. And we the community, So sometimes when the parents are like, Miss, I just don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Said, no problem. We reach out to the police, not to arrest them, but for them to understand the policies and the rules that you're breaking, if that's
So you do have some challenges.
We do have challenges. That it's never going to, a school is never.
It's not hunky-dory.
No, but I think it is again having that open mindset and actually caring about what is it that the student is bringing. But also, you said it right, knowing that student is extremely talented. And making sure that's the focus, not the behavior. The bad behavior is not the focus. The focus is, listen, you can draw, you can build, and I'm going to give you plenty of opportunities for you to see that it is not a lie. And so I take them with me, and I sent you some videos
yes, you do.
About my students, and I take them. They're among CEOs and ministers, and I said, see, this is where your voice is important. This is what you're doing at school. Do you see, you hear what the challenges that they're facing? And they will say, yes, miss, and we have this idea, and we have this idea. And so the focus then moves away from all the bad behavior and you're this and you're that to this is what I can do. Yes, I have some challenges personally because that's from home. But I'm just going to leave that there for now, and I'm going to focus on what can inspire me and grow. So that's how we deal with it.
So you get even your students to focus on the north.
Yeah.
Everybody has to focus on
They have to, and sometimes they want to focus on the south, and I bring them back and I say no. And sometimes the parent would say, oh, Miss, throw up my hands and I don't know what else to do. And they say, you know, well, if you don't know what to do, I'm sure somebody knows what to do. And I would call on my different staff members, and they would say, you know, why don't you try this? Why don't you reach out here? Do you know this place does this? Do you know they give away this? Do you know they have funding for this? And, okay, let's try it. And I think that's where
I like to hear this.
Yeah.
We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll open the phone lines so that you may present whatever questions you might have for Miss Christine Koch.
Prepare for the sweltering heat with a Rheem AC unit to keep you and your family cool and cozy. Get the recommended BTU for your bedroom or living room and enjoy complete comfort. You can also save some much needed cash with an inverter unit which provides superior energy efficiency. When the heat is on, stay cool with an affordable, dependable AC unit from Rheem. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Now that we have the new water system, it has improved the lives of these people a lot.
The life of my village get better. Now we have our potable water in our house.
اللي شال شقيل بال بس استخا أكري شريش لقها أوستيك ما نخليها عن قتيو أم أوستيك وانكوش مان كمادا نشبانكو تو نكوشيك شتاو ألقها نكاشوك شقوك نكوشيك شبوشوكات بس نخوانك أوستيك بياك.
I thanks for the minister to help us for drilling this well and give us the pump.
Right now, I see my village is getting good. I see water system, I see road, and we have our health post there.
We want to say thanks to the government of Belize, thanks to those that were there for Machakila, and we truly appreciate the support that is given.
Altoona is one of the most visited Mayan city up until lately. The adjacent communities have collaborated together to see how they can get a space here that the wood carvers could actually market and sell their product. Not having the POS machine in the past, we have lost a lot of sales. Atlantic Bank helped supported our business, giving us the opportunity to get the POS machine. Now with the POS machine, we are able to do more sales, and that will, also bring more, finance to our families.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Nando's Wholesale is your market leader in Belize's wholesale industry when it comes to high-quality products at the most reasonable and competitive prices. With over 40 years in the wholesale business, Nando's Wholesale embraces the partnership of the hotel industry in Belize by providing world-renowned brands in wines, seasonings, condiments, and cleaners in industrial sizes, as well as small and large kitchen appliances and equipment. Nando's also takes pride in providing one of the quietest and most durable air conditioning systems in Belize with technical support and spare parts. Nando's Wholesale. Professional, reliable, effective, and prompt. Nando's Wholesale always delivers. Visit us at www.nandos.bz or send an email to nandos@nandos.bz. Or, even better yet, give us a call today at 222-500 or 280-8080 to speak to one of our sales representatives today.
Some hands do more than carry. They prepare, they fix, they comfort. They keep a home moving in ways few people notice. And even when the day is done, they are still thinking of home. For the months of May and June, we celebrate the hands that hold the home together, offering you 25% off on tiles, lights, fans, ACs, gardening supplies, and more, both in-store and online. Thank you, moms and dads, from Builders Hardware.
Whether you are a busy person or stuck in traffic or having an adverse or very demanding circumstance, tension builds up, causing you to be stressed out. Stress attacks everyone, anytime, any age. And stress is a killer. Palm City? It's best to be alive than dead. So visit Freetown Drugstore to get options to relieve stress and to relax your mind.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you today?
I'm so stressed out.
Okay, I'm saying I help you out right now. When I this daily, for 10 days, I am good after that, okay?
Okay.
Freetown Drugstore, 28 Freetown Road, where you are better off alive than dead. Freetown Drugstore, telephone 223-2876.
having a very interesting conversation with the principal of the ICSAT. She is Miss Christina Koch. Is this an elitist school? I've heard that passed on. This is only for rich kids and, and you know, special private school. And in the mind of some people that I've talked to, they think it is an elitist school. It's like preparing special students for special school. And you know how people are politically. They say, oh, this is a rich people picnic and then type of situation. Can you debunk that?
Definitely. 90% of my students come from the south side of Belize City. And that's important for me to highlight, because I actually had a student come up to me and said, Miss, do you know, they said, because this is another part of the spectrum, lone poor people come to free school. And I said, that's an interesting observation from the public. He said, yeah, I just wanted you to know that. I said, okay. And you could see, you know, he didn't feel too good about it. And I said, but you know, you have a lot of things that poor people don't necessarily have. You know, you have access to technology, you have your own Chromebook, you rest in all of these nice places. I said, so I would look at that point of view. He said, oh, okay. I have had people say that it's an elitist school, and like I said, no, it's not. It's a full government school. However, it is not a big school, so we cannot cater to a lot of students. You know,
is the plan to expand that program?
There hasn't been any talkings of that yet. Okay. You know, that would be something.
And how about the rest of the Caribbean? Since this program basically came out of a CARICOM discussion maybe 20 odd years ago, are programs like STEAM in all the Caribbean territories? Actually, no.
Belize is the only. We're the only STEAM school in all of the Caribbean. But I just recently met Miss Shea. She's from Barbados, and she has it's a hub. It's not even a school yet. She said she was looking at transforming it into a school. So. What happened was that they have, it's called the Oceania Innovation Hub, and it does exactly what ITSAT does, but it's kind of like an after-school program. And so for the first time I met somebody who understood my language. Yes, you know, and so one of the videos that I showed you.
I'm catching up with your language, by the way.
Yes, and one of the videos that I had shared with you was her exciting. It was an exciting moment for us to be able to understand each other. And we're talking about the SDGs, and she, you know, Barbados has the same sort of coastal area. It's a coastal area. It has beautiful beaches and so forth. And so we were talking about this, and she said, you know, we should have a collaboration between them coming here and us going over there, because we're similar in kind. And I had my students with me, and so they were explaining to her what is it that they do, and so she's like, you sound just like, and my student said to me, she's like, Miss, that is the Barbados version of you. And I said, yes, because when you have a passion for something, it radiates. And so she came and she was talking about it. So there's a hub. I found out just recently that there is a hub sort of like ITSAT. And so that's where we are at this point.
What about in the United States? You got this orientation from MIT. Do they have something similar in their
Yes. So our makerspace comes from MIT. They have a makerspace at MIT, and just recently they invited.
What do you call it? Space?
Makerspace.
A makerspace means what? I'm learning a new language with you. I'm writing down these new terms. What does it mean?
A makerspace is simply an area where all the technology and tools are for students to go and build.
Okay.
So when in our makerspace, that's where, and we use cardboard first to build our prototypes, because we're sustainable as well.
Do you have a number of prototypes that visitors can go and see what your students have made?
Yes. Yes.
Have you displayed it to the public?
We have displayed it to parents first. And I think that's a very good point to note. And to explain why is it that we don't necessarily have opened yet to the public. We are a very, very new school. And so, like I mentioned earlier, we are still developing and seeing how best we can develop the school in a way that's how we want it to be. And so as much as we would want to invest time in all of these open days and bringing the community, it takes a lot from our small staff, because we're a small little staff, and so we have to be building curriculum. Now you have to understand that in a traditional school, they don't build curriculum. The curriculum is there, right? So they just deliver. But for us, we have to
create
it. We have to implement it. We have to go back and evaluate it. So we spend a lot. It's like a research team spending a lot of time ensuring that what the students are learning is exactly how we want it to be. While these other things are important, I'm not saying they're not. It just takes a lot from us. So when we do some open days or bring in panels or guest speakers, it takes a lot of coordination out of our workload to do, you know. So that might be one of the reasons why we have not necessarily brought in the public, but we do have our students' work on display that they have.
You know, it would be so good, and I have made this observation, I won't call it a criticism, that a lot of the ministries and a lot of the departments do such valuable work that we, the public, know nothing about. If we don't get you on a show like this to talk about it, it's going on in absentia, in a sense. It's going on, but we don't know nothing about it. And I can't understand why, about 10 or 15 years ago, most government departments, ministries, decided that they would create what was called a public relations or communications office. And the objective of that staff was to take what the ministry was doing and tell the public. And it doesn't have to be 50-minute infomercials. It can be TikTok type things that will not take more than 3 or 4 minutes to get the idea across. You bring in a Zoom, what do they call it, a drone, and it can move around in small spaces, interview you, and get it out to the public. And people say, wow, I didn't know that. 90% of the students are from the South Side, and I'm thinking that the South Side has no access. And you mean that this is a creative, do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you mean.
So I don't know why we have hired these public relations people, and it's in all the ministries. They all got one PR person. Yet you have to be scratching your head. What's going on in the labor department? And what are the rules about this for? And the police department, why is it only to have Miss Stacy there explaining what happened last night? What about all these other creative things that the police department is doing that we, the public, know nothing about until Police Week, once a year? So I'm saying, I'm using you, sorry, to say that we need to explain to the public what we are doing and not make it so occasional. We're going to do it on your particular day. This is a nurse's day, so we are talking about nurse, or this is a dentist day, so we're talking about dentist. So I'm saying all of that, Ms. Cook, to say, by the way, our number here is 280-5848. If you only have a few more minutes with Ms. Cook, if you would like to ask a question or make a comment, 280-5848. Another thought that comes to mind is that this innovation that you are dealing with here is creating, as I said to you in the early part of conversation, what the technical institution used to be like maybe 30 or 40 years ago. People were, and talk about using 90% of the South Side, that's what it was. It was taking ordinary boy and girl and really taking them through a process of understanding science, understanding engineering. And out of that experiment 30, 40 years ago, we've had some brilliant engineers. We've had engineers that went abroad and had excellent jobs because of the grounding that they got from the technical college. It seems to me, this new one here, IT vet, none of them come close to what your project is doing, except maybe the Orange Walk IT vet. I'll forgive me, my brother Gomez, he's doing an excellent job there, and his students also seem to be coming out innovative and ready to work, which is my criticism of our educational system. We send our children through a very expensive process. Ministry of Education pay millions of dollars for the result that we're getting. And I'm not blaming teachers, I'm blaming the way we approach is that we just think that a student have to spend X amount of hours in the classroom, graduate with okay if they want A or a B or a C, and then he's out there. And then the majority of them are walking the streets looking for a job. Your program doesn't sound as though students will be walking out with their hand in their pocket looking for a job. You sound like there's no job here, let me create something that will make a job.
Right.
And to my mind, that's what the whole Caribbean region need to get into, because colonialism left us dependent and taking these clerk classes and these academic. That's why we got so much liar. Because we've been training in the direction of going towards liar, but we don't got that among the engineer, we don't got that among the doctors. So I love what you're doing there, Ms. Cochran. Perhaps I'm taking over your interview here now, something like you know. But I am so enthused by what Dr. Barrow said last week, and now you're the living reality of that program. So in the last few minutes that we have, I can't even ask you to cover what you didn't cover, because you've painted such a clear picture. But I'll give you a last word in any area that we may not have covered. Do you have assembly in the morning?
We don't have assemblies in the morning. We actually have assemblies in the evening.
Oh, okay. You have assembly.
We have assemblies.
You pull them together. What do you talk to them about?
So the responsibility lies with the student.
Ah, I see.
Yes. And they usually think about what are the challenges that we're facing, either in the school, either...
Let me make it more, and I'm sorry to be abrupt. Many of the schools we have a morning religious assembly. Do you have anything similar to that?
We do.
Okay.
But it's we make sure we try to make sure that everybody is included.
Okay.
We don't force
any
religious beliefs on our students, because our student population is quite diverse.
Okay.
We have Catholics, Muslims, Adventists, Jehovah's Witness. We have a wide array.
Good.
And so what we tend to do is the teacher is aware of that, and together in their advisories, because we call them advisories, they would develop kind of routines that they go through. So I know one of my teachers in particular, I saw her the other day, they do affirmations, right? Today is going to be a good day. I am special. And they together come with that. If they decide, no, actually we want to pray, right? That we all support that. And so they decide how they're going to do that, by turns, by whatever the case may be.
Very
so
good.
it is very, we accommodate the student, the diverse need, and we don't necessarily impose beliefs onto them.
Yeah.
When you came in into our school, the idea was at that point in time for us as educators to get exposed to the different religious beliefs. And the reason why I say that is we do know the different religions, but we do not know or understand what they do and why they do what they do. And so the staff and I decided that we would have those segments where we were bringing different persons from the different religious entities and do exactly what you did. Explain to our students whether you were Muslim or not, because we strongly believe that I don't have to believe in what you believe, but I can be respectful of what you believe in. And so the only way I can respect and understand is if I know why is it that you do that, and I can respect that. I don't have to believe in it, and I don't have to join you, but I can respect why you do what you do. Your rights to do it. And so that was one of the reasons why you were brought in to speak to the students. And like you rightly said, they had a lot of questions, because we too as adults, and some of my teachers left saying, I really didn't know that. And we would be really offending these individuals if we did that, and it would be not intentional. But so sometimes they say ignorance is not an excuse, and so that's the reason why we bring in
it was a very good, and I enjoyed it. It was wonderful questions from both teachers as well as students, but most important, I felt that there was an environment of shared learning, and it was not a bored look in the audience. And I'm not saying because of me, I'm just saying that they knew why I was being invited, and they were prepared to engage with me, as well as asking questions. And I thought that was very good.
Yeah.
Well, I can only say that what you're doing over there and what the ministry is doing is innovative. I am so happy to hear that it is the only one of its kind in the region. You know, we like rundown Belize, you know, and we don't realize that we are the first in many things. And, you know, we just got a knee-jerk reaction to this criticism. Well, I believe, you know, but that many times come from people who haven't traveled outside to compare Belize to other places. I have, and I can tell you Belize is at the top of the mark. Despite our issues, we are at the top of the mark on many of these human development issues. I gave you an opportunity to have a last word, but we got into a question. So I'll give you that last word now.
I think it's just, you know, when you think about education, education should be where, you know, our Belizean people support. And I think for the most part, every time I've reached out to the community, they have supported out my students, whether it's true, because again, like I said, the students come with these ideas, and it just takes a listening ear from an educator to truly hear what the child is asking for and why they're asking for it and what they can do with it, and allow them to fail. You know, allow them to fail. I'll give you one last example, and this is how I allow my students to fail. I bought them a little drone because they want to experiment. I said, okay. So I watched them as they don't know how to use it, but that's okay with me, right? Nobody ever was born knowing everything. They lift it up and they're being careful with it, but they pressed one button and it just right into the wall. Blam. And they're like, and they froze. They didn't even want to look at me. And, you know, and I think I smiled. You're right. I smiled, and they looked at me. They went over. They picked it up, and they said, "Okay." And this is exactly what they did, right? They talked to the other one. Do you know how to take this apart? We have wings. We have wings. It's only the wing that broke, and they're having this conversation. And I think I smiled in that because I realized that in the past, or even when I was growing up, you know, you would be afraid of making a mistake because either they would yell at you, or they would not support you anymore, or they would say, "Okay, you see, this is why."
Some form of punishment.
Some form of punishment. And I said, "Okay." I said, "Bring it here. Let's see." And so they took it apart and they put the wings and they put it up again, and they're like, "Oh," I said, and I think that's the beautiful process of learning, where you're able to fail, and from that you learn, and now you can then teach me and say, "Hey, don't do it this way because the last time I did it." And so you allow, as educators, you allow your students to fail, and make sure that, because most of the times we talk about winning, passing, getting A's. So we teach them how to win, but we never teach them how to fail. Right? So I just want to leave with that that in education we must teach our students how to fail and how to come back from that. And failure does not mean that you don't know what you're doing.
Wow. I could go another half hour with you, you know, Ms. Cook, because you're not even repeating yourself. You're just, and I think anyone listening to you, even though they may not have a child in school, they should be encouraged by hearing you as one of the educational leaders in Belize. Because, and kudos to the ministry likewise.
That's right.
You would not have been there if
Of
the
course.
ministry didn't see you. So kudos to the ministry, going all the way up to the minister, the CEO, the Chief Education Officer, and I could go down the line. There's a lot of very innovative people in the ministry, and this experiment, I think, it makes my heart feel good, particularly because it is along the line that I think education should be. But I'm particularly egotized by knowing that this is the biggest and first one in the Caribbean region. I want to boast about this. So I really appreciate your being here, Ms. Cook.
No problem.
And we are going to take our final break and come back and close off for the morning.
Stay connected in the USA for as low as $10. With Smart Roaming Data Pass, staying connected is simple and affordable. Get the data you need starting at 1,000 megabytes to stay connected to larger plans that keep you online while you travel across the USA. So you can message, browse, video call, and navigate wherever you go. No SIM swap, no bill shock. Just simple, affordable pricing. Activate easily by dialing *100# using the Smart app or online. Smart Roaming Data Pass. Staying connected the smart way. Smart, bringing people together.
Altoona is one of the most visited Mayan city up until lately. The adjacent communities have collaborated together to see how they can get a space here that the wood carvers could actually market and sell their product. Not having the POS machine in the past, we have lost a lot of sales. Atlantic Bank helped supported our business, giving us the opportunity to get the POS machine. Now with the POS machine, we are able to do more sales, and that will, also bring more, finance to our families.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
This Mother's May, celebrate the woman who makes the house feel like home all month long. Great deals like 15% off bathroom and kitchen fixtures from Moen, Hansgrohe, and Duraflow. Plus 15% off Hispasensa tiles, Stormguard windows, and 40% off Sunlight windows. And 15% off Berger paints and huge savings on clearance colors. So come in to Habet and Abet or Brothers Abet, call us or WhatsApp us today and make this Mother's May one to remember. Happy Mother's Day to all marvelous moms.
The Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing informs the general public that works from Belize City to Hattieville under the George Price Highway Upgrading Project are actively progressing. The public is advised that business signs and roadside memorials located within the road reserve, including crosses and other commemorative markers, will need to be removed. We recognize the personal significance of these memorials and are committed to handling this process with the utmost respect and sensitivity. Removals must be completed by June 12, 2026 in preparation for construction works. Following the completion of the project, interested parties must reapply to the MIDH for the reinstallation of private signs within the road reserve. The Ministry sincerely appreciates the understanding and cooperation of the public as we work to improve the safety and quality of our highways. For further information on the project, please contact the Project Execution Unit at 614-3195.
Amandala is now online. You can now access Amandala's midweek and weekend issues online by logging on to our website at amandala.com.bz/news and joining our membership portal today. There's 5 easy steps to get unlimited access to weekly e-paper, archive publications, and a host of other exclusive contents. Number 1, go to Amandala's website. Number 2, navigate to subscribed areas. Number 3, choose a membership level. Number 4, check out using our secured portal. Number 5, log into the members only section. Telephone numbers 501-280-4703 or 202-4477. Fax us at 501-222-4702, or you could email at amandalapress@yahoo.com or amandalapress@gmail.com. Amandala, all power to the people.
right, that's the end of our program this morning. We certainly appreciate the principal of the Itzhak STEAM Academy, which is there on St. Joseph Street by the compound that was originally used by IT Vet. I'm very impressed with the principal, Ms. Christine Koch, and her vision of this institution. And if you don't know much about this institution, I think you should learn about it, particularly if you have children. Certainly, I think if you have a child that you can get into this institution, you should. It's probably a limited space. They're only dealing with less than 200 children. But from what I heard today and what I gathered from Dr. Dorian Barrow last week, we are looking at something extremely unique in the approach to education. And education should not just be reading, write, and arithmetic. It has to be teaching our children how to think and how to solve problems as opposed to being a part of the problem. So we thank her very much for being with us today. And down the road, we'll try to ask her to come back along with some of her students so that we could, explore their learning likewise. So let's thank Larry Guerrero downstairs in the simulcast. Upstairs we had Christy Flowers. And of course we have Mr. Harlan Wagner was around this morning, but the person that is probably most important to all of us is Mr. Clifton Lewis. So thank you very much for being with us. We hope that you'll be with us tomorrow. We have another special guest that should be joining us about 7:30 tomorrow. In the meantime, Belizeans, stand strong and stand firm. Keep focused. Do the right thing. For now, we're gone!
Why wait till the time calling? It's not so it no matter even if you're at home. Just call in. Double your bed. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion, not place. So call in. Double your bed.